Hey everybody, it's your boy P. Welsh back for another episode of the Tough Talk podcast. On this episode, the question I want to ask is who is influencing us? This is a very dynamic question to ask, and another way to phrase it is what are we paying attention to? There's lots of various sources of input throughout our life: people, work, media, games, entertainment, books, etc. The list goes on and on. So, really, we have to kind of focus on what we're paying attention to and where we go from there. A lot of these forms have both positives and negatives to the level of influence that they have on our life. And I think it's one thing is really important is what we're paying attention to, how it affects us, and if we're actually consciously being affected by the influence. When it comes to people, they say you're an amalgamation of the five people you spend the most time with. So those people influence you, your health, your thinking, your activity level, what you do, where you work. There's so many facets that humans are so complicated that that can make up and better your life or make it worse. Another form that influences us quite a bit is media. What kind of media do you pay attention to? Are you written form media? Do you spend your time on social media? Do you research new videos, or do you just take what's given to you? There are so many factors in especially media that goes into our influence, because especially being isolated so much these days that we don't get that human to human interaction that we once had so freely available before a pandemic started. Another thing that influences us quite a bit are the books we read, and this is one place where I think we can really take a large step forward, because what somebody does when they write a book is they take their whole life experiences and create a very systematic approach to where it's all aligned properly. Like, words aren't out of place, there aren't grammatical errors. So books are sometimes one of the best ways for us to be influenced, because there's you can input a whole person's life and their experiences, and you can bring that into part of your being and add that to your life, and not only affect you, but those can affect those people around you, and you can share that information with us. Sharing information is what makes humans as distinctly different than any other creature in the world, right? The fact that I can talk to you and you can listen and understand and possibly find some value in the words that I say is something that we take for granted, and we don't even understand what we're paying attention to while that's happening. It's so ingrained in us that we don't realize how much it actually affects our day-to-day life. Another form of what influences us is writing stuff down. Write a journal, because we have these thoughts in our head. We can talk to ourselves, we can have a conversation, be like, oh, if you're consciously aware of what you're doing and it doesn't feel right, and you still do it and something goes wrong, what is that? Why does that happen? And, like, why did you feel that way? Who are you talking to? You influence yourself, the way that you talk to yourself every morning, every afternoon, and every night. Like, do you wake up angry, or do you wake up grateful? There are just so many things that just go into our influence every day. Our diet influences us, right? Are we eating properly nutrient balanced meals, or are we just going through the drive-through and finding the fastest, way to ingest calories to stay active? It's something that I really want people to take a second and think about who's influencing all of us in the many different levels. Art's another way that we're influenced, right? The paintings, music, movies, TV shows, they all have complex character roles. They have dialogue. They have situations which we're not actually physically living, right? So one determination on, like, what is influencing us and where we can go is to figure out what we know. And what the best way we can figure out what we know is to go do various things in our life, to actually physically put ourselves in the natural environment and see how we respond and how the world responds to us. That is the number one way to influence ourselves and influence other people around us. Just saying he said, she said is not going to get as much traction as actually going out there and helping somebody, actually influencing them for the betterment of their life, that is a powerful movement. If you take time out of your own day to help somebody else who may ask for it, they may not ask for it, but or you can just do something out of the graces of your heart and your soul to just benefit somebody else, because you don't know what other people are going through, right? We all have our own perspectives. We all take in data and information differently. We all have different levels of curiosity, and that all goes into our level of influence on how we live our life. And I think it all starts at home with ourself, with how we talk to ourselves. And then it comes down to the people around us. Who do you surround yourself with in your work life, in your, physically active life, in your social life? Don't spend too much time on the social medias. These are just texts that you read. They're they're much worse than a book. They're incomplete sentences, incoherent thoughts. They're not plausible, and they're very not. You need complexity to really influence people, and because if not, you're just going to fall into the negative traps of reacting, and that's not how humans developed. We're not a reactive species. We're proactive. We spent thousands of years hunting and gathering and trying to survive from nature and elements and animals, and that's what influenced us to share in our valued conversations and our valued information to make sure other people don't suffer the atrocities and chaos that is on this earth, outside of like these boxes that we built for ourselves to protect us from the wind, the rain, the sun, the heat. We take so many things for granted, and we just have to pay attention to what's influencing us. And it's fine if you're where you want to be, but if your life is not all it is, or all that you want it to be, pay attention to what's around you and what's influencing you. The people, the media. Pick up a book, try and get into another person's perspective and see what information and value they might provide to you. I would love to hear any comments down below, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach me out at twitch.tv/pwelsh, and I would be happy to discuss more of these things in detail and have an open conversation with them. One love, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Peace.